Hello, I'm Zash, and welcome to episode 76 of my Senjou no Maou, or The Devil on G-String, Let's Read. And this time, I am sure this is the final episode. The police are coming for Kyosuke, and he seems resigned to surrender to them. Unless, somehow, Usami manages to convince them to let him go. He did kill a monster after all. They might let him go just because they kinda wanted Maou dead too. But doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. So we might have a downer ending on our hands. Anyway, please enjoy this final episode of The Devil on G-String, or Senjou no Maou. Ellipses. Megalipses. A number of police cars have already surrounded the entrance. I put my hands up to signify my surrender. In addition, I set my two firearms down in a spot where the police could see them. They booked me in the standard fashion. Then, on the night of February 14th, I was dragged away in handcuffs. 3 days have passed. Each one of those days, I was interrogated without a moment's rest. Since I was suspected of murdering the criminal behind the incident of unprecedented terrorism, it was clear they didn't want to leave a single stone unturned in their investigation. I was taken back to my apartment so they could take photos. We also visited Mao's final seat under the tree and the supposed murder weapon. Absolutely nothing escaped the flash of the camera. Each night, I was taken to the lockup cells at the back of the station in handcuffs, dragged by a rope tied around my waist. All of my belongings, including my cell phone and wallet, had been confiscated by the police. They took my fingerprints and then had me stripped naked to take my measurements. They took my belt and shoelaces, replacing my footwear with sandals emblazoned with the number 40. Once I was marched into my cell and got a glimpse of the meshed windows blocked by iron bars, the apprehension really started to set in. Immediately after I was arrested, they asked if I had a lawyer. I guess I could say I did, but now without Gonzo backing me, I highly doubt he would be so kind as to come to my aid. I ended up using a court-appointed lawyer. He was a middle-aged man with entirely empty eyes. His subdued mannerisms didn't assuage my concern about his lack of motivation. After that, I met with the public prosecutor. After being told of my right to remain silent, my right to an attorney, and so on and so forth, I was then put back in my cell to continue my life of custody. The interrogation suddenly grew more severe. They started asking the same questions over and over, and kept pushing the same documents under my nose. The section chief of the 1st Investigation District himself participated in the investigation. He was a middle-aged man that relentlessly smiled, but it was always accompanied by a sharp glint. I think I get the gist of it, so let me ask you one more time. I've already lost count of how many times that would make total. Azai Kyosuke-kun. My name is not Azai, it's Samajima. I had my adoption officially annulled not too long ago. Ah yes, that's right. Excuse me. Well then, Samajima-kun, you say that the one responsible for the terrorist event the other day, Maou, is your brother? Yes, without a doubt. All right, we're still in the process of investigating that matter ourselves. However, supposing that is true, that would mean you killed your own brother, correct? Yes, as I've already told you several times now. For whatever reason, the detective was tapping his finger on his desk. So let me clarify the details of this case. You returned home, whereupon you saw your brother assaulting a girl. That girl's name is Usami Haru, correct? Yes. The detective picked up on my slight agitation. Oh, you don't have to worry. She's still a minor. Whatever happens, her name will not be published. Maybe not. But regardless, they'll make a big fuss over her as Girl A. Please, go on. You need courage when dealing with a grizzled police officer. Were you two living together? Lies won't work here. Yes. Makes sense. It was Valentine's Day, and we discovered what seemed to be handmade chocolate scattered about the floor. Yes, that's right. Go on. What the hell? I have no idea what he's getting at. Or, I guess, maybe he's just trying to unnerve me or something? Realizing the danger she was in, you fired on your brother without hesitation. By the way, where exactly did you get your gun? As I've stated before, I found it during the blockade incident. Ah yes, that's right. However, you could have gotten rid of it at any time. Why didn't you report it to the police? I wanted to sell it off to a Yakuza guy I know. So, you didn't just forget? Correct. Like I said last time, I had committed quite a few crimes back on Central Boulevard, so I was afraid of getting involved with the police. I wasn't lying. The detective nodded profoundly. Whether or not you will be held responsible for what you did on Central Boulevard will be decided at a later time by a different investigator. For now, let's get back to the topic at hand. Very well. You said that your brother fled from the apartment, possibly scared off by the gunfire. Judging from the bloodstains, fingerprints, and footprints around the scene, we have confirmed that as true. I see. But then, you pursued him. Ellipses. Why did you do that? Everything was happening so fast. I don't really recall. So you were in a state of panic? Yes. So, in a panic, you chased him to a park about 100 yards from your home, then fired wildly upon your brother as he laid against a tree. Correct. I can certainly imagine your feelings. Your brother was a vicious criminal of unprecedented extent. You couldn't keep your cool because, in your mind, it was either kill or be killed. If that's the case, I'm sure the prosecutor handling your trial will do so with a bit of understanding. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Yes. He's trying to say, even though I murdered someone, if I was in a questionable mental state at the time, my crime will probably be treated lightly. I was starting to see a tiny light at the end of the tunnel. However, at that moment, the glint in the detective's eyes suddenly changed. Something still doesn't add up. What? You were in possession of 2 guns. Yes. What about them? You said that one of them was dropped by that monster. Right? There doesn't appear to be any doubt about that. We matched the fingerprints on the gun to the fingerprints taken from his corpse. Then what's the problem? Don't play stupid. You switched guns. I prayed that the surprise I felt didn't show on my face. At some point, you must have parted with the gun that fired the bullet lodged in your brother's shoulder, and gone out of your way to take up the gun he dropped before dashing outside. Ellipses. Why would you do that? You were in a state of panic, were you not? I find it hard to believe that you had the mental faculty to do something like that. I don't know. I don't really remember. The gun you used inside your apartment was out of bullets. Knowing that, you switched to a different gun. Is that or is that not what happened? Oh, so the gun that Haru ran off with didn't have any bullets left in it. I wasn't sure how to answer this question. If I admit to that, it could be used as evidence to say that I was in a clear state of mind. But the detective's next words were enough to freeze my blood. We questioned your girlfriend as a witness to the event. Turns out, she had some intriguing details to add to the case. Ellipses. She said that the one who chased after the monster was actually herself. I couldn't think of an excuse. And that you left the room chasing after her. What are your thoughts on this? That may be true. What about it exactly? Allow me to give you a hypothesis of my own. Your girlfriend recklessly chased after a dangerous criminal, so, intent on stopping her, you ran after her. Ellipses. Upon arriving at the park, you encountered your brother and girlfriend in a face-off. Sensing that your girlfriend was in danger, you ran up from behind her and shot the man to death. This was an invitation from the detective. An invitation for me to say yes here, and then fall into his trap. Moreover, one of the nearby residents testified to hearing a girl scream the word "die" in the park. This is the end of the line. I guess tricking the police was simply too daunting of a task. We asked the girl herself whether she was the one who said it, but she said she didn't remember. She's a pretty honest, intellectual girl, isn't she? I doubt she's lying. But regardless, judging from the situation, there doesn't seem to be anyone else it could have been. My hands froze, and my breathing grew shallow. In any case, from that testimony, we can conclude that she had intent to kill. Your brother was unarmed at that stage. Furthermore, as per your statements, he had seemingly already given himself up by resting against a tree. Ellipses. That would mean she was in no danger, and the previous hypothesis crumbles. She intended to kill your brother. Furthermore, my heart was about to leap out of my ears. It is also very plausible that she had a gun. I could sense a slight dizzy spell coming on. Though she didn't deny it, your girlfriend said that she doesn't remember picking the gun up off the floor. My knees start to rattle. However, we have her fingerprints on the larger of the two weapons. I'm such a fucking idiot! Why didn't I think of the fingerprints? If this goes on, Haru is going to be charged with a crime. It should be noted that while we have her fingerprints on the gun, there is no evidence that she fired it. In all likelihood, the gun was already empty by the time she possessed it. Pretty stupid for someone with the intent to kill. Then again, you could also take that to show just how worked up she was at the time. Damn it, what should I do? Whatever the case, if she had a weapon on hand, pursued the fleeing enemy, and then tried to finish them off, we're going to have to bring her in. Oh, excuse me, by bring her in, I mean under arrest, not just for questioning. For what crime? After pausing to think for a second, he responded. Well, the most obvious would be weapons violation. You two were living together, so she would have known about the gun as well. She should have had ample opportunity to get rid of it. That's not true. Haru didn't know. Is this yet another result of my carelessness? In addition to that, the use of excessive force. No, I guess it would be attempted murder, actually. We won't know for sure until we bring her in and get more details. Attempted murder? A cold sweat ran down my back. So, now, I'd like to hear your testimony once more, in light of this new information. What should I do? Well? What can I do? Haru's going to be arrested. She didn't actually kill him, and she was in a complete state of panic at the time. In light of all that, I doubt she'll be charged with anything major. But she did use a gun. She has a future ahead of her. Who the hell would want to listen to an ex-con play the violin? I doubt anyone would bother to understand her trauma involving Maou. The media would have a field day. They'll only look at the surface of things and try to bring her down. I should have just thrown away that damn gun. No, I guess since Maou intentionally dropped his own gun, the result would have been the same either way. Why did you suddenly get all silent on me? Think. I bite my lip in an attempt to send blood to my hazy, panicking brain. I can't lose here. This is my brother's final trap. Out with it! Cough it up, starting from the beginning. The detective behind me stepped towards me threateningly. The other detective across the table raised his hand to stop him. Your confession will serve as important evidence at the trial. Confession? I remember reading in a book somewhere that in Japanese trials, there's no stronger evidence than a confession from the criminal. Something about once you sign your confession, you'll be found guilty, even if you were innocent. I have no idea if any of that is true. I have no idea, but I have to go for it. Fine, Mr. Hotshot Detective. I'll give you what you want. I burst into a chuckle. I guess that bitch turned out to be a useless piece of shit, though. That bitch? You mean your girlfriend? His eyes grew more stern than before. Her prints were on the gun that I took home with me from Central Boulevard because I made her hold it. You did what? He shook his head. How could you do such a thing without her knowledge? She didn't mention anything like that. Well, yeah, no shit. I did it while she was sleeping. I froze my heart over. Anyway, the stupid little bitch didn't even have the slightest clue that I had a gun. That much is fact. Nothing I've said this far should conflict with any future evidence or testimony. Very interesting. So what exactly did you plan to accomplish by giving her your gun? I was gonna have her kill Maou, Samajima Kyohei. She was terrified of the guy day in and day out. I figured if she ever had the chance to kill him, she would have jumped at it. I see. And why did you want Kyohei dead? Use your head, will you? We have this thing called payback in the Yakuza business. Then it was revenge for the murder of Izai Gonzo, your former foster father? That's right. I fucking worshipped that man. Gonzo was the bravest, strongest, greediest son of a bitch on this planet. He was truly the ideal villain. That's technically not a lie either. But getting put in the slammer for killing Maou? Fuck that. There's no profit in that shit. Now, I would have preferred to kill him right when he came to the door, but... True, if you had done so when he invaded your house, you could have argued for self-defense. So then I figured it would be a good chance to sick that bitch on him. But, just as you concluded, my gun didn't have any more bullets in it. This is the biggest hurdle. I just need to pray there were no witnesses. As long as there was no one who saw Haru carry a gun on her. As far as I know, there wasn't anyone else on the road when Haru was running off to the park after Maou. And as soon as I got there, I took the gun from her. Please let no one have seen that sight. The bitch ran right after Kyohei, just like I thought she would. I sure would have helped if she had kicked him to death or something. Whatever, anything, I don't give a shit. But instead, she decided she'd just pass out on the spot. I guess she was scared shitless or something. So, you're saying she never voluntarily laid hands on the gun, not once? He signaled something to a person standing behind me. He was probably sending him off to the scene to find some proof. Well, yeah, I guess that's what it comes down to. Shit, if I just had a couple more bullets, I would have given her my gun. But you had another gun at your disposal. Why didn't you give her that one? The fucking bitch ran off without listening to me. This is also true. By the time I caught up with her, she had already fainted. Fucking useless, I tell ya. Just then, the large detective behind me flared his eyes in anger. You little punk! He glared at me with a ferocity that could have made the Yakuza jealous. Still, I remained unfazed. Now wait just a second! A sharp glint shot from the detective's eyes. I see. I'm aware that you've done some nasty little things as a shadow executive of the Izai Corporation. I heard you've made many a corporate executive cry. Yeah? What about it? Alright then, let me ask you this. How did you know that Maou was still alive? The gears in my head turned as I analyzed the intent behind the detective's question. Basically, if I didn't know that Maou was not the burning man on Central Boulevard, then I would have had no reason to make Haru hold my gun. After all, I did so with the intent of having her kill Maou. But I can't tell him that I heard it from Horibe. If I made it sound like I only found out moments earlier, he'll point out that I wouldn't have had the time to give Haru my gun before that point. You should be asking the dunces here in the fuzz why they seem to think he was dead. I saw Maou escape from that burning bus. If they investigate, they will indeed find that we had approached dangerously close to the bus. But I lost sight of him in the chaos. So after that, I gave that bitch my gun in anticipation of my next chance at revenge. The expression on the detective's face gradually twisted further and further into indignation. Bitch this, bitch that. That woman loves you dearly. Don't you know that? I could have sworn someone stabbed me straight through the heart. A sharp sting radiated through my entire body. She believed in you, you know. She slaved over boiling chocolate for you as she waited for you to come back. I forced my nearly twitching lips into a smile. Oh, she had it that bad, huh? That's hilarious. Maybe I have what it takes to be a gigolo. My chest felt ready to burst. She may be clever, but she's an amateur when it comes to matters of the heart. It felt awful. I hated myself for having to trample over her feelings. I continued spinning my hateful words as each one tore at my chest. Money is everything to me. You think I want a broke, unprofitable chick like that? She was completely useless to me, except maybe as a patsy for murder. You little... Chocolate? Don't make me laugh. It hurt. I remember Haru's smile. Her innocent smile merely existed to have an opportunity to give me a present. But I had to continue. A storm of emotions brewed in my heart. As long as we live and breathe, our way is paved with ice. A person's life is not comprised of 4 repeating seasons, but a year-long winter wilderness. Whether or not you stop to wipe your blood or tears, they will inevitably freeze over. Motherfucking chocolate. I'll be damned if that's not the most retarded thing I've ever heard. Don't waste my time with that bullshit. Suddenly, I felt something in front of me. The detective who was behind me had grabbed my coat. You little brat! Good. Get angry. Lose your cool and cease your pursuit of the truth behind this case. Hey, watch it, man. That hurts. I'll tell on you to my lawyer. After jerking me around a bit, he throws me down to the ground. That's good. Jump on the obvious evil in front of you. This is no ordinary evil. The only issue left is Haru. She'll desperately plead for my innocence, but now the detectives will only see her as a poor innocent girl who had been tricked and manipulated. There's no turning back now. The police department's forensics labs and the sharp intuition of this veteran detective might be able to see through my lie. But, no matter what happened, I will never revoke my testimony. Once the sentence is handed down, I won't file an appeal, no matter what the sentence may be. After this trial ends, the whole case will be over. Haru's a smart one. I'm sure she'll understand. And then, she'll play the violin again. Megalipses. It's been about 10 days since I first surrendered to the police. I'm back in lockup again. I haven't heard anything about Haru being arrested. For some reason, there were a few gifts for me. Among them were a few letters. They came from various senders. I was allowed to use the small amount of free time I had between interrogations for visitation. They do allow you to refuse, but there was something I wanted to check up on. I needed to see whether or not Miki-chan had managed to complete the job I gave him.
Ozaka.
I faced Tsubaki with a sly smile. They give you up to 20 minutes for visitation, apparently. I wanted to make this quick.
Ozaka, this is a joke, right?
Being in Tsubaki's angelic presence made it hard to maintain my resolve. Oh, come on. You think I'd come to a place like this as a joke?
But I just can't believe it.
That shit again. All this talk about believing in people and crap. Thinking back, she was the first one who lit my cold heart afire. I'm a murderer.
That's not true. You must have had some reason, right?
Yeah, I did. The prick killed my foster father, so I avenged him. Pretty cool, huh? I gave a slight smile. I continued talking to prevent my smile from becoming awkward. Oh yeah, and back when your brother was kidnapped. Tsubaki frowned. Now that I'm in this place, I guess I can just spill the beans. I wanted you guys to hurry up and get the hell out of that house. It must come as a shock to her. I didn't help you guys out of the goodness of my heart. I did it all for the money. Tsubaki shook for a moment, then spoke.
We received a package not so long ago.
Ellipses.
What do you think was inside?
Ellipses.
It was money. Dad said there was 50 million yen in all.
Ellipses.
It was sent by Maou. It came with a note saying he was sorry for what he did.
Is that so? That's good news.
Yeah. Dad, Hiroaki, everyone else were all ecstatic.
I see. That sounds wonderful. I guess being a good person does pay off in the end. Suddenly, her expression clouded.
I can't be happy about it like they are.
What?
Because I'm sure that money is...
She gazed at me with eyes wet from tears. Oh, come on. Mao said it was because he was sorry. Since when do you doubt people?
Oh, changed a little ever since that incident.
Yeah, I know. She's become a little more human.
It's okay, Zaka.
What are you going on about?
We're friends, aren't we?
She forced her quivering lips to move.
So I don't care if you're a murderer or not. We can still be friends.
Dramatic dash!
Today, some magazine reporter came to our house and asked me what you were like at school. So I told him. Zaka maybe seemed very cold, but deep down he's a really good person.
A tear rolled down her cheek.
So I don't mind.
How stupid is this girl? Does she not understand how the rest of the world is going to view her if she sticks up for me? What's wrong with you?
What?
Don't tell me you have a thing for me or something. Well, that's just too bad. I can't stand women like you. Tsubaki fell silent, as if time had just come to a halt. Don't ever come here again. I don't want to have to see your face. I nodded to the guard to signal the end of the interview.
Zaka, wait.
I'm sorry, Tsubaki.
Wait, please. Wait.
Goodbye. Get along with your family now. Megalipses. Ellipses. They allow correspondence through letters while in lockup. Naturally, the letters are inspected, but as long as you are just sending paper and an envelope, there usually isn't a problem. It was someone that I really needed to talk to. Dear Owai Yuya, how are you? As I'm sure you're well aware, I've committed murder and am currently awaiting prosecution. I would like to thank you for what you did back at Sano Corporation headquarters. If it wasn't for your act of bravery, I might very well be dead right now. However, there's something I wish to ask of you. Could you please look after Usami Haru? You're an employee of the Sano Corporation, and I hear your father's ability is such that people are even calling him the successor to the late director Somiya. As I mentioned that day on the rooftop, Usami Haru and I aren't actually dating. And I, at least, do not have any intentions of ever doing so. Nevertheless, she's a poor girl, with no one to turn to. Even a bastard like me isn't completely without sympathy. If she meets your fancy, go ahead and take good care of her. It may be a bit forward of a request, but please keep it in mind. Samejima Kyosuke. There we go. I'm sure an upstanding man like Iwai will be able to make Haru happy. He has a strong financial base as well. It costs money to learn the violin, after all. I handed the letter written with my earnest wishes to the guard. Several days later, there was another request for a visit. Thinking back to Sabaki's teary face was enough to crush any of my attempts to force a smile. I really didn't want to see her, but I had to meet with her at least once to make sure she never comes back.
You doing okay, Nissan?
Her voice was light-hearted, but her expression told a different tale. Oh, and what does a world-renowned athlete want with me?
Your attention.
Her spoiled words reminded me of the world outside lockup.
Well, Nissan, you're the man of the hour, huh?
Man of the hour?
Yeah. You beat the big, bad, evil Maou, didn't you? So why are you in a place like this?
Beats me. Her confusion seems to be genuine.
Every channel is talking about you.
Cool.
You're so popular that Nanchan isn't even on the radar these days.
I see. Is that all you came to say? The gates holding back Cannon's tears suddenly burst.
Everyone's bad-mouthing you, Nissan. They keep talking about stuff that doesn't matter, like the Yakuza and your real dad.
They're just telling the whole truth.
They keep saying that the son of a criminal will always be a criminal.
I guess they're right then.
But... don't you hate standing out?
She shed tears of pity for me. I want to thank her. But with the guard watching, I need to watch what I say. I must continue to live as the bastard who used Haru. Let me say just one thing, Cannon.
Huh?
I'm not your brother anymore. It's times like these that I feel it's a good thing that I annulled my adoption. So I won't be seeing you anymore.
Well, why not?
Because I don't want to see you. If she gets involved with me, Cannon's popularity as a figure skater will suffer. My adoption may be void, but still, we've been siblings up until now. Don't come back. If you do, I'll just refuse your visit.
No.
Stop being so selfish. After I shouted, the guard behind me gave me a warning glare. Please, just don't come here anymore. I pleaded with her. You have a brighter life waiting for you. Come on, it's your job to get out there and give your audience something to gasp and cry about.
But, Isan...
Now go on. You really shouldn't be coming to a place like this.
Are you okay with that?
She muttered.
Are you really okay with that, Nissan?
I nodded, and Cannon cried. She shook and trembled, racked with sadness. I should have paid her more attention while I still had the chance. She was still unstable, unable to become a full adult. If I could have another shot at life, I would love to give her the support that she needs.
I'll do my best.
I signaled to the guard that the interview was over. Megalipses. Ellipses. On the same day as Cannon's visit, I received a letter. I could tell who the sender was by the eye-catchingly bad handwriting. Hey Kyosuke-chan, baby! You really did it this time, didn't ya? When you get to be as hard-ass as me, you don't waste time with that interview shit. So yeah, man, I chose not to go. I mean, I get if you saw my face, you'd just start bawling like a baby anyway, wouldn't ya? But now that it comes to this, I guess you can aim for the top of the world of crime. While you're in the pen, I'll push my way through the legit scene. We'll have that shit locked down on both sides, bro. Oh yeah, I finally made Noriko mine. Seriously. No man, seriously. I'm really being serious here, so come on, hurry up and get out of there, man. The letters at the end were more crooked than the rest. That's a pretty stupid joke, even for an idiot like him. Megalipses. Ellipses. Between the daily questionings and the constant trip from lockup to the prosecution's office, and the number of crime scene investigations, I was nearing the end of my rope. Being led around in chains was really embarrassing. From what I could tell, they had yet to find any proof that could overturn my confession. My detention period should be over soon. I hear that things will get a little easier after that. Yet people still keep coming. It's like some dam had broken. I was surprised when I saw who had visited me this time. But as things would have it, she was actually the one who sent the most letters. I decided to meet with her a single time, clueless to what it was about.
Azaka.
Never thought I'd see you here, Shiratori.
You got a problem with that?
She scowled. Well, whatever. So how's Tokita doing?
We're renting an apartment together.
Ah. I guess Tokita didn't get any major charges filed against her. Alright, so what are you doing here exactly? We weren't even friends. Shiratori was hurt by that comment more than I thought she would be.
I have a message from Nessa.
Okay.
She wants to know when she's supposed to give you your money.
Money? Oh, right. I had said something about her paying me back for the school and warehouse hostage crisis. Tell her to wait until I get out. She can meet me then, cash in hand. She nodded, sulking.
Also,
What?
thank you for the concert.
Huh?
I mean, thank you for going to see it with me.
Shiratori frowned, and then the wall shielding her heart crumbled.
Thank you. Thank you for saving us.
Her tears could almost burn a hole through the acrylic plate between us.
Thank you for saving me and Nessa from those scary people.
Oh, the thing at the warehouse.
I always wanted to.
Ellipses.
I always wanted to say thank you.
The sight of Shiratori's weeping profile was enough to twist my heart.
I'm sorry I couldn't say it until now.
Ellipses.
I'm always like that. I could never say what I really feel.
Ellipses.
But I can't believe that it's come to this.
She trailed off, getting through her regret. Maybe I've really misunderstood this girl. We probably would have been able to get along better if I'd just tried to be sincere with her. But still, I had once thought of using her. And not just her. I had actually used Tsubaki and Kanon also. It's too late to correct the mistakes of my past. Alright, I get what you want to say. See ya.
Wait, listen to me.
She mustered all the courage to her eyes, moistened from tears. Officer,
I love...
this interview is over. I stood from my seat. I could hear her sorrowful screams behind me. But at that moment, I just did not have the presence of mind to listen to Shiratori Mizuha's confession of love. Megalipses. Ellipses. Exactly 3 weeks later, I was finally given a formal indictment hearing. The statement read off by the chief detective mainly touched upon murder and weapons violation charges. Dreary times followed after that. I was moved to an actual city jail as I awaited my trial. When the day finally arrived, I just watched over the proceedings with a detached mind. Perhaps because I had confessed with solid testimony, or perhaps because my lawyer was so meek, there was not much fight in the courtroom. The letters also suddenly stopped coming. During the course of the trial, I thought I might get a glimpse of Haru, but in the end, they never summoned her as a witness. I suppose that's a good thing, though. I would often read magazines or newspapers while I was in jail. I made sure to check the articles thoroughly. There was never any mention of Haru or an unidentified girl in any of the articles regarding my case. Before they took me in, I had asked Horibe to try to put pressure on the magazine editors to avoid such a thing. Maybe I'm seeing the results of that. Though, I have to wonder why Horibe did what I asked, when I don't have any sort of money or power to speak of. I lost track of the seasons as I awaited my sentence in jail. Summer came, autumn came, and then winter came once more. We were woken up at 6:45 a.m., and it was lights out at 9 p.m. I lived a life of strict rules. I wasn't able to get a bath every day, but I did get regular haircuts. I ended up looking like a monk with a crew cut. I looked so stupid that I think I lost the right to ever make fun of Haru again. Over time, I naturally picked up on prison slang and made conversations with a number of my fellow inmates. The inmates that I spoke with ran the gamut. There were men from organized crime syndicates, men charged with domestic violence, thieves, arsonists. I ended up completely avoiding the man who killed someone because of his drunk driving. Nearly a year passed after my arrest, yet I was still unsure of my ultimate fate. Upon arriving at the courtroom I had been to so many times before, I saw that the judge wore a more severe expression than usual. My sentence will be handed down today. My thoughts are purely on Haru, and after today, these thoughts will never again grace my mind. Everything is over now, set in stone. I stumble upon a certain article in an entertainment magazine. The artist known as Mishima Haruna has restarted activity. Now I have no more regrets. The court finds the defendant. Megalipses. Ellipses. So long, prison. Izai Kyosuke looked up at the sky. A golden February sunset stretched out above him. It had been 8 years since he last enjoyed this scenery, and at the time, sheets of dark gray clouds had blanketed the heavens. Under these very clouds, he had bid his sweetheart an eternal farewell as snow silently drifted through the air. It had been 8 years since his second parting. Suddenly, Kyosuke's widespread legs snapped together in an involuntary attention. Having grown accustomed to prison life, they were now unsure if moving about without permission was acceptable. Kyosuke sighed and took a deep breath, his first breath in ages, of air beyond the huge walls behind him. Fresh, clean air filled his lungs. The dry February atmosphere chilled his skin, but despite the chill, his past still warmed him, even now. He allowed his mind to drift to the old days. He recalled days at school, where he horsed around with his friends. He recalled days at home, where he engaged in audacious negotiations with adults. He recalled humble days, without so much as a smile or laugh, all because he refused to stand out. Kyosuke was weak in those memories. He was a slave to money. He had been nothing but a boy busy quaking in fear of Azai Gonzo. Kyosuke looked to the sky once again. A few flakes of snow had begun to fall. The thought of snow gently falling onto her eyelashes painted in his memory a vision which pierced his heart with sadness, even now. Yes, that girl. She was the one who had visited light upon his cold, dark, wayward path. The stupid promise they made as children had served as his only source of warmth. When they first made love and became one, Kyosuke was filled with an unmistakable sense of happiness. He closed his eyes. He took a series of deep breaths to put his emotions in check. Kyosuke shook off his old memories. There would be no relying on such heavenly repose. He opened his eyes. There was no one there. Even Kyosuke himself had wished for solitude. He decided he would walk the rest of the way on his own two legs. He had no destination in mind. He would wander like a lone wolf, keeping his immeasurable sadness hidden from the world, buried deep in his heart. Just as he was about to drag his empty body forward, he spotted a pair of silhouettes in the direction he was walking. One big and one small. A parent and a child, he supposed. They were heading down the road in his direction. A grim mood came over Kyosuke. Having been locked up in prison, it had been a long while since he had heard the voices of women or children. The pair were holding hands, singing nursery rhymes. Occasionally, their tune would be broken up by joyful laughter. Kyosuke directed his hollow eyes to the ground. He merely wished they'd hurry and go. However, the voices of that mother-daughter pair did not grow more distant. In fact, they came closer. Then, for whatever reason, they came to a stop right in front of Kyosuke.
Nice to meet you.
The voice belonged to a young girl. She looked up at Kyosuke with adorable wide eyes.
It's been a while.
The mother spoke with a flat voice. Her hair, which reached all the way to her ankles, tousled in the wind. At first, Kyosuke was at a loss for words. During his long periods of imprisonment, he saw many a dream where he met her again. Each and every one afflicted him. He scolded himself for his weakness. But he always thought that if he did meet her again, after getting out of there was something he had to say. He had rehearsed the one simple word over and over in his heart. Congratulations. In prison, Kyosuke had kept a treasure that he allowed no man to touch. It was a scrapbook. He pasted within its pages every article detailing the activities of Mishima Haruna that he could find. She had made a name for herself internationally, so it was only natural that her fame had reached the prison as well. The girl, who had now bloomed into a beautiful woman, addressed Kyosuke.
I bet it was sad not having any music.
I had the Bach in my mind. She laughed in response. Kyosuke, however, did not. He could not laugh together as the sunny girl's equal. One of them was a convicted murderer. The other was a world-famous violinist. Snow continued to fall, as if to form a white wall between them. The scenery through the window of that run-down shack he once shared with his mother flashed through his mind. So, what do you want? She flinched at his harsh words. Nevertheless, he continued unaffected, intentionally choosing the iciest words possible. Didn't the police tell you anything? I was only...
It's okay now.
Haru interrupted.
It's okay now.
she repeated. Kyosuke scoffed. His white breath dissipated in the air above Haru's daughter's head. So, Owai Yuya helped you, didn't he?
Yes,
She said with a nod.
he offered to.
Offered to? Though a bit confused, Kyosuke slapped on a vulgar grin. I see. Well, isn't that just great? I bet you owe all your current fame to him.
I am grateful, yes. He pays the little one a good amount of attention as well.
So, how old is she now? The answer to his question came from down below.
I'm 7, Daddy.
He almost repeated what she said aloud. Daddy? Time froze for Kyosuke. The entire world had disappeared, barring only the child who had just called him Daddy. His conviction deepened. She resembled him. She had his mouth, his jaw, his eyes. Don't lie to me, he said, his voice shaking.
I would know, wouldn't I?
Her decisive response brought Kyosuke to a frenzy.
You're the only one for me. You always have been and you always will be.
Kyosuke cursed. He cursed the heavens. He cursed God's whims. He cursed the devil's cruelty. He just couldn't stay calm until he rebuked something, anything responsible for the fate of deprived, star-crossed children. It was only the miserable realization that no condemnation could alter the truth before him that brought him back to reality and dropped him into the pit of despair. A murderer's daughter spoke once again.
Hey, Daddy, pet me.
A murderer's granddaughter sought Kyosuke's cold hand. An unknown force pulled at his arm. Her hair was soft. He touched the child's head. He actually did it. Suddenly, Azai Kyosuke was afflicted with strife. No, she's not. Can't turn this girl into the daughter of a murderer.
Kyosuke-kun, it's okay now.
Haru's voice was misted with tears. Kyosuke's sight was misted with tears. Cut it out. You're wrong. She's not my...
You can cry now.
She's not my...
You could really use a break.
She's... His subdued sobbing prevented any further words. The hand resting on the child's head froze in place, like it was stuck there.
Kyosuke-kun, let's start over from the beginning. This time it'll be the three of us.
Kyosuke's expression was torn by sadness. The madman cried. It was the howling of a beast within him, who once tried to sever the chains of revenge.
We'll always be together, Daddy. Mommy, too. I play the piano. You can watch me. You should listen to me play.
She smiled, inviting him to happiness. Her bright voice lingered in his ears. The way she said the word Daddy caused his heart to waver. Azai Kyosuke wept. After coming face to face with such a pure angel at the end of his life fraught with demons, there was nothing else he could do. And then, when Haru told him the name of his daughter, the powdery snow suddenly came to a halt, almost as if it were a harbinger of an early spring.